Hello Heavy Metal Maidens and Masters, I'm Heavy Metal Mama and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another episode of Spotlight. And today we are doing Band Spotlight. But before we get to that, remember to like this video, comment down below to discuss anything that comes up in the video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so that you can find out every time I upload, and welcome. So today is the first official episode of Band Spotlight, and I thought that I would do a little review, a little introduction to a couple of bands, well 3 bands that I have had solidly on my rotation on my Spotify playlist. They are really speaking to me at the moment, and I thought that I would share them with you because you may or may not be aware of their existence. So the first band that I wanted to get to is Alien Weaponry. So Alien Weaponry are a New Zealand band. They are all of Maori descent. They are all also under 20. It's kind of sickening, really. The stuff that they produce is coming from 3, I mean they're kids really, under 20. It's phenomenal. We saw them at Download and we'd already gotten into them before we went to Download. Annoyingly, I could have sworn I filmed some footage when we were there watching them, but there was nothing on my phone. I must have pressed the wrong button or accidentally deleted it, or I don't know. But they were absolutely phenomenal. They have their first debut album is called Two. And they have a lot of Maori influence in their sound. They remind me of the Sepultura Roots album. It's got that tribalness to it with, I think it was described as new metal influenced thrash metal, which I think is a very fair description of what they do. The fact that this huge sound comes out of these, quite frankly, quite skinny little boys. I mean, you know, they're not short or anything, but you know, they're little. I kind of just wanted to hug them. They're so little, you know. They're, when I was thinking about it, they're actually closer in age to my children than they are to me, which made me feel really ancient. But really ancient. But the fact that this sound comes out of these 3 lads is just phenomenal. It is spectacular metal. Proper guttural kind of thrash, and the tunes, you just can't help but sit there and tap your head, you know, tap your foot and bob your head to them. And they were absolutely fantastic at Download. They were first on the main stage. I mean, this is how good they are. They were on the main stage, I want to say on the Saturday morning. So unfortunately it was like maybe midday at the most, so we're all a little bit hungover, and you know, I think had it been sort of 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we would have been like centre of the pit, but we were just a bit bleary-eyed, and you know, we'd had to sort of drag ourselves out of bed to go and see them. They were worth it. They were so worth it. So I would say that their top track is called Kai Tangata. Sorry, I have to read it because I can't remember what they're called. And they have another track called Holding My Breath. They are, quite frankly, the whole album, it's a phenomenal album. I would definitely recommend that you go and watch it. I'm going to put a link to any videos that they have up here in the, you know, up here and down in the description. Check them out and put them on your Spotify playlist. They are immense. It gave me the feels of being 18 again when we used to listen to like Sepultura and that kind of thing. It just took me back, and it made me just want to run into a mosh pit and scream my head off, you know. Such a good band, and they are going to go far. They have got a bright future ahead of them, especially seeing as I think none of them are even 20 yet. You know, they've played so many gigs already all around the world, you know, and to come from New Zealand, you know, all of those bands that come from New Zealand, Australia, those little islands, you have to be a certain level of good before you can even get off the island because of the cost. I think if I remember rightly, they supported Ministry, which is a very strange band for them to support. I wouldn't have put them with Ministry. You know, Ministry is like late 90s goth electronic metal really, but you know, but I can see why at the same time. There's that, I don't know, they use a lot of sirens and things in their sound, so I can see why somebody put them together, but it wasn't the band that I would have thought, oh yes, they will clearly be supporting them. But phenomenal band. Go check them out. They just make your guts go, oh yeah, you know, that is, it made me feel like an 18-year-old in a mosh pit again. It was, yeah, fantastic. Check out their album too. Right, so the next band, completely different. So they are called Vuur. I think that's how you pronounce it. They are their lead singer is Anneke van Giersbergen. That's a mouthful. She was the lead singer in The Gathering, who, when I was 18, were my favourite band. They are a sort of melodic metal, female-fronted metal band. I loved The Gathering, absolutely loved The Gathering. Her voice was goals for me as a vocalist. She was perfect as far as I was concerned. Everything she did was gold. And she sort of disappeared off for a bit, you know, and then she came back with Devin Townsend. And Devin Townsend is my favourite artist of all time. I mean, we named our son after him. We love him that much. He is, as far as I'm concerned, metal genius. Everything he touches is exquisite. So when he did an album with Anneke on it, I mean, it was like my two favouriteest people in the whole universe came together and made an album together, and then he did 2 or 3 albums with her, which, you know, I was in heaven for. And he has clearly inspired her, because she has now formed the band Vuur, which means fire or passion, apparently, in Dutch. And you can see she is heavily influenced by Devin. You can really see how much he's rubbed off on her. It's beautiful, sort of progressive metal with her beautiful sort of soaring, perfect voice. She makes everything sound so effortless. And then you realise how flipping difficult everything that she's doing is. She's just phenomenal. And I absolutely love this band. It's complex. It's not something that you're going to listen to one song and go, oh yeah, cool, that's got a groove. You know, there's complexity to each song. They soar off and the guitar parts build and they surge, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful metal. And I'd say my favourite track on their album, In This Moment We Are Free, is called Valley of Diamond, Mexico City. All the tracks are named after different cities, which is really cool. I'd say Valley of Diamonds is possibly my favourite, but every track on that album is perfect. Again, it was really hard choosing a favourite track, but yeah, I think that one is just, there's something about the Valley of Diamonds. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. Again, I will try, if there is a copy available, I will put a link up there and down in the description to a copy of that on YouTube. Again, go check them out, buy the album, listen to it on Spotify, whatever. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. It speaks to me in a totally different way to the way that Alien Weaponry is like metal. Vuur is the beauty of a female vocalist with metal to me, and yeah, it's graceful but also really stirs something inside you because of the complicated guitar parts. You know, it's complex, and it's like a really complex perfume. You know, it's got so many different qualities to it, and when you listen to it you keep hearing these other little parts that you hadn't noticed before, which is why I love Devin. I mean, Devin did a video about the wall of sound, which he does, which again blew my mind. Yeah, and that has clearly rubbed off on her because she has so many different parts going on, and it's a masterpiece, absolutely beautiful. So the third band that I wanted to feature on my band spotlight, again, completely different, 12 Foot Ninja. Now, I actually found this band because Riri Phillips mentioned them in her Music Mondays video that she does, and I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. And I got my husband to listen to it, and at first he was a bit like, I mean, the first time you listen to one of their tracks, you'll be like, what? Because the musicianship is exquisite. They are clearly all extremely accomplished musicians. So Stevik is their guitarist. That guy is a flipping genius. He used to teach songwriting at, I want to say Melbourne University, I might be wrong, one of the universities in Australia. That was what he did for a living, was teach songwriting. They're so funny. They've got real Aussie humour. You have to watch the videos with the songs. The first introduction to them, you need to watch their videos because they're hilarious. They're absolutely hilarious. And you get the song more when you watch it because they break into bossa nova in the middle of a track. One of them has got this incredibly complicated, I mean really quite, from a composition point of view, incredibly complicated piano piece at the end. That's One Hand Killing, which is their best track. The main riff in that track, yeah, you just go, wow. Well, I was watching an interview with some of the members of the band, not Stevic, and they were basically like saying that the first time they heard the main riff in One Hand Killing, they were just like, what the hell is that? Because it's so weird, it's really offbeat, but it's, oh my god, is that a riff? It's, yeah. But I just love the fact that they bring in all these different, completely random musical genres and make it work. And you can see the songwriting. That's the thing. They haven't gone, here's a couple of different riffs and I'm going to mash them together and call that a song. They write songs, and there is a goal to it all. You can see it all coming together and coagulating to make this magnificent masterpiece of a song. Kin's voice, you can see he's really inspired by Mike Patton from Faith No More. He's got such a low range. It's really, and then he goes really quite high, but it's beautiful. He really fills the song with his voice. I mean, his voice is an instrument. It's not just a vessel for some lyrics. It's an instrument. And they have this sort of comedy, you know, the way that they suddenly slip into jazz or bossa nova, or I mean, there's just so many different, I think there's a salsa in one of them, you know, and his voice is really gorgeous with it, absolutely real, you know, it's beautiful, it's silky and velvety. There's, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful voice. And I would almost say all the songs are almost bass driven, and then the guitar is like that little sprinkling on top, that little garnish that just makes it perfect, you know. But my god, that Stevic, the guitarist, my god, can that guy play. In fact, I was just, because I got so totally obsessed with the band that I started looking around on the internet about them, and I watched loads and loads of interviews and stuff, and then I came across Stevic's own YouTube channel, which is called Stevic McKay, and he basically runs a show which comes about every week, 2 weeks or so, which is called Stevic's YouTube Shit Show.
Welcome to episode 2 of
And it's hilarious, but at the same time, my god, that guy is so flipping intelligent and wise. You know, you're watching it and he's talking about how you shouldn't write riffs, you should write songs, and about whether or not about goals in music, and that if you want to, what is success and how you get to success, in that you have to decide what success is, define that, and then backtrack a course to it so that you can plot your course as to how you are going to get that success, rather than just saying, oh well, you know, I'm going to play some songs and, you know, hopefully somebody will pick me up, you know, sort of. He is really interesting, weird as hell, got one hell of a twisted, dark sense of humour, which I personally love. I have a very, very black sense of humour, so I find his humour particularly tickles my fancy. He has a merch store. He does a thing where he draws pictures. What was it called? The shit scribbles or something like that. It's called.
Mr. Shit Squiggle.
He draws all these bizarre pictures and stuff, and then he decided he was going to make some merch, and so some of the pictures are now on leggings, so he's called them steggings. Steggings. I kind of want a pair. They're so weird. They're really expensive though, so if they were a bit cheaper, I'd buy a pair, because they've basically just got Stevic's YouTube Shit Show logo all over them. You know, I kind of want them. But yeah, so 12 Foot Ninja, I beg you, go listen to them and watch the videos when you do it and give it a chance. Don't just go in there thinking I want to listen to metal. Appreciate the musicality, the musicianship of the whole thing. And at first I was a bit like, I'm not sure if I like this weird jazz stuff. The more you listen to it, you were just utterly hooked. I desperately want to see them again. We saw them at Download, but they'd had some sort of technical difficulties and they did like 3 songs and then they had to go because of the way the Download scheduling works. You know, if you run over, you can't run over, it's tough. Once your time slot's done, that's it. Which was gutting because I was really hoping to see a bit more, and because we were right at the back, because it was raining, the tent was full because a lot of people had just gone in there to get out of the rain. So unfortunately, we couldn't really see them, which means I couldn't film them because, I'd have just, as usual, it would have just been the back of somebody's head in the dark, which was such a shame. And of course, because they're from Australia, they don't exactly come over here very often because it's expensive to tour the world if you come from Australia. It's really expensive to tour the world if you come from America, let alone if you're from somewhere like Australia. But yes, particularly their tracks One Hand Killing, which is, it's just got the most phenomenal riff I think I've heard in years. There is Invincible, which is a flipping fantastic track. Collateral, another fantastic track, and their 2 albums are Silent Machine and Outlier. All amazing. There's not a single track on any of those albums that I want to skip. They are brilliant, and yeah, my Spotify has basically just been me playing a lot of 12 Foot Ninja over and over and over and over again recently. But yeah, so check out Alien Weaponry, Vuur and 12 Foot Ninja. I beg you, let me know what you think of the 3 bands. Let me know what you think of the band Spotlight series. Do you have any bands that you would like me to put into the spotlight? I'd love to hear them. I like going for the slightly less covered bands, as it were, because people like Slipknot, everybody knows who they are. Those kind of bands, they don't need me to shine my spotlight on them. But if you have an obscure band that you think that I would enjoy, let me know. I'd be really happy to listen. I always like finding new bands to listen to. And let me know what you think of these 3, because I'd really like to hear your feedback. And music's such a personal thing, but I really like sharing my loves with the world. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, people, stay heavy.